Hey,
Hey.
what up? So I'm Tracy Constantine, and I am the holistic health guide at the Mother House Private Membership Association, faith-based. It's a place of healing, and I have an offer for people who want to integrate their soul, and live towards 100% natural healing and a deep sense of love within their being. And so that's what I got. So come see me.
And I am Tagg, Menopause and Women's Health Holistic Practitioner. And if you're suffering from ailments of sleepless nights, mood swings, night sweats, anything, my information will be linked in the description below. And if you'd like to talk it out, see how I can help you, feel free to look at my website.
Nice. So yeah, we're what I was talking about is so the body, and I think we touched on this a little bit on the last episode, where the muscle memory, right? And one of the things in my spiritual awakening and physical, mental, emotional awakening, it has been that I will get these muscle tightness, or it almost feels like lumps in my muscles, where maybe it's been there for a long time, I don't know, but I start to begin to notice it, and I'm like, oh, well, that's weird. And then it like gets tight, and then I'll feel like, right, I slept wrong, but that is bullshit. And so my most recent was, this is good. So I have little midlife crises, and I buy like really big things that I probably don't need to buy. And so recently I bought an electric guitar and an amp, because I was like, I'm going to learn how to play guitar. And my relationship with my left side has always been abused by my masculine, or misunderstood. It's been I'll just give you a little history. I was thrown down a flight of stairs by one of my boyfriends, and it broke my leg on my left side. And it's just been this constant like state of wanting to protect it, and injury. And now that I'm opening my heart and I have worked through a lot of this shadow stuff, my left side there's some stuff coming up, and then when it releases, I have more range of motion, right? And so I noticed when I bought this guitar, like, to hold my left hand like this, it was almost like it had like a vice on it. I just couldn't go that way, you know? And so what I associated that with is, when I hold my hand up, I have a hard time receiving. And so I almost couldn't do this with my left hand, which is our receiving side. And so I've been working it out, and now I have like, it's still a little sore in the elbow area, and I still have some stuff in the muscle that is still working through. But I haven't felt my left arm like this my whole life. I don't remember when the last time I felt like free with both sides of my body like this.
Balance. Yeah.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even about the guitar. I think the guitar was something that I needed to by, because it was like, it just showed me that, that,
Well, that guitar is also you're doing an embrace,
yeah,
embracing with the arms.
yeah, yeah.
As a ex-competitive ballroom dancer, uh, it kind of goes hand in hand, the embrace of how
Mhm.
you receive your partner and, how you connect to be able to have that ebb and flow between each other, that communication, that nonverbal communication. And it's important to also have that embrace with yourself as well. So I can see that guitar being a symbol, whether you learn it or not.
Right.
You have the embrace
The
of,
expensive symbol.
well, you can't really price on connecting with yourself. That's an investment.
It was worth it for sure.
Yeah. When you,
Nothing wasted. Nothing wasted. Nothing at all wasted in a spiritual awakening.
yes. And
Mhm.
that guitars, it's a handheld harmony, you know?
I love it. I would love to. I'll see. I mean, I do a little practice, but I would love to see if, you know, where that goes. Obviously, right now I am immersed in just offering my offer to the world of healing and wisdom and um, and nurturing and all that stuff. So um, I'm sure at some point there'll be more time for guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your dream.
Okay. Well, this dream here, I had my phone in my hands and um, I was outdoors, I was indoors. It was like every time I looked at the phone in my hand, it would morph into something else. It just like,
That's cool.
uh, I'm looking for the word. It's
Like shape shifted.
shape shifting. Yes, it was shape shifting.
Hmm.
Now, it would shape shift into a different kind of phone. And it would show one with a cracked screen, one with a sandy screen, one with a water screen. It would just keep transforming into something else. And when I woke up from the dream, all day long, I was dropping this phone like it was Rubbermaid,
Mm.
cringing every time I would hear it hit the floor, unable to stop it from hitting the floor as well. So I just, I prayed about it to see what this actually meant. I didn't give it a timeline simply because I didn't find it very important, but I had to honor the fact that I was actually dreaming again. Like I said before we got on the on this call, I was telling you how much you helped me where I couldn't um, through energy healing. And the fact that I'm dreaming again, it's delightful, because that energy has to go somewhere. And basically, I just felt tormented internally because I was unable to dream. Dreams are a form of expression.
I know. I haven't been dreaming recently and I miss it, but sometimes it can be a lot of work too when we're dreaming and like, you know, and so I think, it's a good balance to be able to dream and kind of go through that vision quest and then, be able to, even if I am dreaming, kind of just let my mind rest at night. And so I'm kind of in this lull right now. But I just looked up your dream, so I'm curious a little bit to see what they have to say here. So, possible interpretations. The phone is a tool for communication, might be symbolizing a shift in how you connect with others or receive information. It is if it transforms into something like water, it could represent emotional communication or vulnerability. The act of morphing itself suggests a period of change and growth. The elements it becomes might indicate the direction or nature of this transformation. For example, if it becomes fire, it could represent passion, intensity, or a burning desire for something new. A lost connection could symbolize disappearing or losing its form, suggesting a sense of disconnection from others or a sense of self. And if it changes into ethereal or otherworldly, it might suggest a connection to a higher power. So does it was interesting because so you had your phone and it was changing into other things. This is what I always ask when I'm talking about dreams with people is, do you remember how you felt when your phone was doing that in your dream? Like, did you feel shocked? Did you feel like excited that this was happening and you're like, freaking what, this is so cool? Or like, what did you feel?
I found it frustrating and confusing.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Uh-huh.
And so it sounds like with yourself, and the phone is an extension of ourself and it's the communication. And so it sounds like you're leaving, because this is what I always believe when we're having these dreams. It is showing us something that we are actually moving out of.
Yeah.
And if the thing is that the dream can pull us back in and make us believe that we're still in it. And if, depending on the dream, say we're having nightmares, if we are consumed by that, we'll never believe that we're leaving. But like when I first, stopped drinking and all of that, like every year on my anniversary, I would have drunk dreams or drug dreams, right? And it was it was another layer, another tier, another rung of me moving farther away from that, why I needed it. And so my dreams were kind of telling me, you're going in the right direction, but it can make you feel like, why is this happening? I don't want to dream about it anymore, right? Like you're almost being haunted, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like you were really frustrated in all the different ways you needed to communicate with all the different aspects in your life, and now you're bringing that in, and you're harnessing like one way of communication. This is Tagg. This is how I'm going to be in every situation, and if you need something different, too freaking bad. Does that sound?
That sounds accurate, because I am a person that I don't live my life in confusion. I know what I want, and that's half the battle of knowing what you want, because you have the choice to stay on target or not. And so that gives me confirmation right there that even though this phone is morphing into other phones, with a sandy screen or a water screen or some other kind of type of screen, the communication, it never left the in my sight as being something to communicate with. So yeah,
And it's almost like, and because I know, we talk, and so I know kind of like a lot of things that are going on in your life and vice versa. And I feel like you're a helper, and I think we were talking about this earlier too, just having the mom gene and like wanting to see people do to win in life and succeed, and but at the sacrifice of ourselves and our own happiness and our own success.
Yeah.
And I feel it's what it seems like to me, what I have seen just in the short time that we've been close, is that you are you've had to kind of not kind of, but you have put yourself aside
Yeah.
and changed the communication at the point where you're like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to put myself on hold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely. Whoever, hitches on. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I'm not putting myself on hold anymore.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And so a lot of times we're very intuitive. And I'm only going to say women because I've only been a woman in my life, and so I don't know how men's intuitive gene comes through, but I know that women, and I lived in a house filled with women growing up, and we could finish each other's sentences. We didn't even have to say words. Like words weren't even freaking necessary. We just knew, like, that's just the way it is. And going back to this again, that whole thing where, I stay too long, and I can hear this little voice saying, you can see your energy being sucked out. And it's not that they're like the other parties involved, wherever I am. If I were to say I'm done,
Yeah.
they would say, okay.
Yeah.
They would, because like I'm not surrounding myself with people who are like trying to hold me hostage. Like,
Right.
there's something stopping me from saying I'm done.
Yeah.
And so I'm really exercising that honor to that voice inside that says, you don't have to go any further.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it's taken me almost 20, 25 years to get to this point. Everything that I have been doing and studying has been undercover, simply because, I had to raise a family. I had to make sure that my household was taken care of. I had to do these things. So I always came last. And so I've worked to this point. I'm an empty nester. I am single. And so it's a new path for me to put myself first.
Same.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
To align with my external world, where I'm not calling in things that people that are not in the place where I'm at, because it just feels like well, some of the situations that I felt like I was calling in was the Christ crybaby that wanted to deny the mother. So it was always this constant, like, how can I make you happy? Right? Whatever it was. And then the other one was the feminine woman who wanted me to be to help raise her children.
Yeah.
And that was very resemblant of my growing up with my father being the Christ baby, and my mother wanting to live her life freely and have me be the one who is the caretaker of the other 3 younger kids. And so now that I have worked through all that karma shit that kept coming back, I finally said, well, I think what happened was it came to the place where I said I've had enough, and I spoke my truth.
Mm-hmm.
and the universe. And not only that, but it's very painful to let go of that stuff, because although it caused weight in my life, I loved it. I love my mom. I love my dad, right? Like, I love them and my sisters and their children and all of them, right? But that's not where I am.
Yeah. See, just like you, I was the opposite. I was raised around a lot of men and males, and my caretaker was, he had to talk with me. Look, you're a girl. If you're not cooking and cleaning, and putting out, you're good for nothing. You know what I mean? And so for the longest time, they had a name for me, and I didn't like it, but I solved that problem by, in introductory. This lady, she was a friend of my caretaker, and she said, honey, what's your name? And I said, Dodo Bird. I said, hi, I'm Dodo Bird. That's the name that they gave me.
Wow. Wow.
And she said, well, that's your name? I said, yes. And she said, well, I don't like that name. Is there something else that I can call you? I said, oh, yeah, they call me CB for short. And, she knew my last name. And she said, well, is your first name Catherine? What does CB stand for? I said, oh, cock blocker. And I could see my caretaker just completely melt out the corner of my eye. It stopped that. It stopped the name calling. I can laugh about it today, but it was really hurtful. So I felt like I was forced in a place where I just didn't want to be. And so I've always had this independent spirit that is slightly stoic, simply because of the examples that I was growing up around, which were mostly of the masculine, I don't want to say species, but human beings, because sometimes I really did feel as though we were from two different planets as far as communication was concerned. And having a son, and also a daughter, I had both worlds in my household, and I wanted to make sure that they knew who they were growing up. So it was just a matter of me steering them along the way for them to identify who they are without the labels, so they could be strong on their own and course correct when a disaster was about to happen. Hey, you need to think this through. These are the options that I seen. I was a very different parent, and it was, you train your kids up how they need to be for themselves, not for the world, because the world is fickle. The world will change their mind, and you don't need that outside validation to know that you're doing okay. You need it from yourself. So I was very different with my parenting, and it had to do with what I went through growing up. And so,
and I feel like from what I've seen, and this is the most beautiful thing too, and it reminds me of another woman that I had a close relationship with, and she also did a lot. Like, I'd say to her all the time, like, your whole life is a ceremony. And because she, before she did anything, she really, and it brings me even to my nursing career, where I really had to bring the ceremony back into my life. I don't know how and why. I forgot it, but even when I became a nurse, they, like, you go in to do a procedure, or help with some type of, nursing procedure, say like a bandage, redress or whatever. And you need to, like, get focused on all of the things that you need, what it looks like beforehand, kind of picture all of that stuff and get set up. And what I would do is, sometimes I don't know how I made it through fucking nursing school. I swear to God. Because I'd get in the room, I'd take all the bandage off and everything, and I'd be like, oh shit, I need shit. I'd be like, just stay right there. I guess we're gonna have to, like, I don't know, sometimes I'd have to like wrap it back up, go get the shit, come
I
back.
feel pressure. I'll be right back.
Like, God, can you please, Tracy, just remember that there's a ceremony beforehand? And I even still do that today. A lot with everything, and I guess it's a balance, because sometimes sometimes, and this is what I do see, and a lot of people that do a lot of ceremony, and this could be one of the downfalls of that, is they're that they get so stuck in the ceremony that they never actually engage in what the ceremony is for. And so it is a balance. What do you feel? How do you feel with that?
Yes, it is a balance. And I went through that same phase of not of incorporating ceremony into my life, but I did it in a very unhealthy way, you know. I was still productive, and I chose alcohol as my ceremony ritual, you know. So, uh, I was still productive, and I found a reason to celebrate. And if it was just a phone call of making a payment arrangement, hey, let's do a shot, I would involve other people in with my celebration,
Mm-hmm.
and looking back on it, was really wrong. It was really unhealthy. It was wrong. And so I had to really reconnect and with myself in a healthier way, and get rid of the alcohol in an honorable way, to say, well, communication is very important to me. So I had to have a conversation with the alcohol to say, look, this is where we part. And I gave myself a inch by inch decline, because I didn't want to go through a hard withdrawal. So I stuck to a 2-glass minimum, or two, no matter if it was shot or, wine or glass or whatever. It was a 2-glass maximum, not minimum, but maximum. And so I kept that up until it just wasn't desirable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I made my peace with it. If I have a drink today, it's the same principles will still apply. I will not go over 2 drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So it has its boundaries. It no longer is very vocal in my life, and I feel a lot better mentally, spiritually, physically. So now my ceremonies they're healthy, and it's a bonding experience with other people now. And it's very much so in my practice as well. Even though I have retired from competitive dancing, I still dance. But however, I do have a ceremonial dance surrounded by the new moon and breath work. And it's bonding with other women who has trauma in their life. And then I have a separate one that is around the full moon for the ceremony of release. And so you have to release some of that trauma, and we work through it. I have a whole workbook, the whole session, and it's awesome. So the ceremony that I used to do with alcohol has been replaced with healthier habits that get other people to connect with their internal struggles and have a conversation with it. Communication is very important to me on every level. So, yeah.
I love that.
How
I have a similar relationship to the elements.
yeah.
So
That's
like fire, water, air, earth, and they speak to me, and it's a the cycle, and I will um, I will just I will dance like the wind, and I will dance like fire, and I will dance like the earth, and I will dance like
water.
the water.
Yeah.
And and so yeah, like it's really important for me to have contractions in life, although they can be uncomfortable sometimes when they squeeze. But everything, and I actually have a card deck called Sacred Circles. Can you pull a card now?
Yeah, go ahead. Full card.
Oh no, do you want me to pull a card, or do you want to pull a card?
Um,
I wanted to give you the
okay, yeah. I'll do an element card.
oh, okay.
So in the meantime, keep going while I
Oh, yeah, so cycles, like you brought up the moon cycle, and oh, my relationship with the moon. Oh, motherfucker. It's a love-hate relationship, and I know that there's a lot of lessons for me from the moon. I, for a while, thought that it was a satellite that was put there, which I don't know what to think anymore, but was put there to create or help with the life on the planet. So like it does, the moon is 100% connected to the water, and it breathes with the water. Um, and I remember as an adult, like learning that I think, you always know that there's tides and there's, and all this stuff. But then when I connected it to the moon, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like,
Mhm.
and obviously our body is whatever, a lot of water, 70% water or 90% water or whatever. So the moon and our body and the earth they breathe together in a cycle. And so it's really good. I have a app on my phone that's called the Moon app. And I just need, so okay, so and I'll finish with this so that you can pull a card. There's a lot of truths in the world that I have come to realize are not full truths. One of them is our calendar.
Yeah.
And so our calendar has 12 months, but there's 13 moon cycles. And somewhere along the line that shifted. They say it's the patriarchy, but I believe the matriarchy made the patriarchy. So really, is there anybody to blame? No, it just happened. And probably um, I don't know who I was telling this to, but it could have been you, where I believe that sometimes we need to be off the beam in order to see the beam. And so I feel like us as a human consciousness needed to shift from the 13 to the 12 so that we could see the 13, because I feel like we were so consumed in just living in it that we didn't value it the way it needed to be valued. And so the universe shifted its consciousness and we forgot about the 13 and we lived in the 12 for a while. And now the 13 is resurfacing, at least for me.
Okay.
Okay. And and so my calendar is the 13. And it's interesting because obviously the world vibes on the 12 still. And so, and I'll finish with this. One of the most interesting pieces is that the New Year's Day is in January, but October means 8. And so that doesn't seem right. And also the way that nature evolves is that springtime would be the new year.
Right.
And so this past New Year's was very solid for me. Like I felt like I'm not sure why everybody is celebrating New Year's right now, but okay. And I celebrated my New Year's.
Yes, I do. I do too. I've always worked that way and in communion with nature. You know, spring is the new year. And so I've always felt ahead of schedule or right on time. And when I was in the corporate world, you know, everything is pretty much commercial for making money. And then I tend to, I notice very quickly on the world schedule, and I say the world schedule because it's corporations, you know, corporate schedule. So when we had to do the first of the year projections, you know, financial projections and things like that, how we're going to get business and blah, 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 blah. I was always ahead of the game and people were wondering, how are you doing this? Well, you know, I'm parallel to I work in parallel with the natural cycles of the earth, you know, of Mother Earth. And so spring it's rebirth, you know.
Right.
And I was able to get quite a bit of business around the springtime that would filter into winter, where you know you're harvesting what you've grown, and so that would send my New Year's projections through the roof. I was already ahead just by working within the earth cycle, you know, nature cycle. And so I've kept that standard my whole entire time. I don't feel rushed as much as if I was on that corporation schedule timeline.
I feel like
I didn't like it.
yeah, and I feel like kind of goes back to what we do is that working holistic, that we can help people still stay in the system. Like they don't have to change their whole life. Might help them to have this knowledge and to incorporate it within their body and acknowledge that, but you can still do all the things in the corporate world and still have and honor that inside.
Yeah, and I proved that with myself because it showed in my performance, you know.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and 2008 was 2007, 2008 was a real estate bust. And I happened to be in the real estate career field. I was in relocation. And my department had floated the whole entire, you know, company for that area. for that, division. And so, yeah, they weren't happy with me, not at all. They actually wanted to promote somebody else in my position after I did all the cleanup and after I did all the work, who fit the appearance of the company. And I wasn't having it. I'm like, okay, well then here's my resignation. And my boss said, no, I don't accept this. I want you to take a back seat and train this person to be you and what you do while you
I've been there. I've been there.
ground,
I'm there.
Yeah. And I'm like, what am I, the elephant man? I don't understand. I worked for this position, and it shows, the proof is in the money that I brought in to you. The proof was in the referrals that I was handing out to keep your real estate agents in house and not break and go to someplace else. I mean,
yeah, I think it's something that we were talking about earlier, where it's a small price to pay for the life lesson that we need in order to align more with our natural, where we need to be, right? So like I heard this, and this is perfect, which is rejection is God's protection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, communication is very important to me, and she communicated to me what that wasn't in alignment with what I wanted. And I'll be the first one to say, hug and release. It's my time here. I have learned a lot. I appreciate, what has happened. Even though it's no longer in alignment, it doesn't mean that we got to be enemies,
Yeah. I pull a card and I
tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Voice, speaking your word. Communication.
That's what we're doing.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I just saw this. Okay, Spirit just said pull another. So keep shuffling, and then we'll do it one more time.
You want me to read the
Oh, okay, yeah, read.
message?
Go ahead.
Do you want me to read the message?
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. Voice. All this dead air. Okay, page 61.
That's all right. Silence is good to regroup. Everybody take a nice inhale and exhale.
Okay, speaking your word, use your voice, speak up, sing your song out to the universe. It's often not what you say, but how you say it. Speak plainly and tell your story. The word voice is Latin, word of power. The voice is an air-powered instrument, the sound of which is made by the movement of pressurized air over the vocal cords. The vocal cords vibrate, making audible pulses that are adjustable by the muscles of the larynx. To give a unique variety in pitch and tone, the sound is further filtered by the lips, cheeks, facial muscles, as well as the position of the neck and chest. Every person's voice is quite unique because of the combination of their philosophy. Although we do not like to mimic others for fun, the human voice is capable of a huge variety of sound, from harmonic tonality to grunts, squeals, and screams. No, just kidding. Is one way humans express and create emotion in themselves, and others, of course, communicate through complex language.
So what that means is, if anybody's tuning into this episode, that card is for you too, and for us. We definitely are expressing ourselves more. We are just, going off the cuff and really just saying how we feel and letting it flow organically, and know that you have the capability of doing that as well, and that you should speak your truth,
Tell
um,
you, Tracy.
and allow other people to have how they feel about you speaking your truth, and not needing to change or fix that, and not taking on the way they feel about your truth, and just allowing it to be your truth. So yay, are we good for today's
Let's see what time.
9:16?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So Tracy Constantine with themotherhouse.org. If you like what you hear, reach out.
Yes, and I am Tagg, the holistic artist, and I am with kissmyartsy.com. So if you are experiencing any symptoms of night sweats, sleepless nights, painful intercourse, emotional attacks, reach out, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can help you. So, other than that, we will see you next video.
See you.